I'm Howard Randall. I'm from Plympton, Mass, which is down near Plymouth, about an hour's drive away. And I'm here today really with two vehicles that have Massachusetts history. The motorcycle to my right is a steam-powered motorcycle. It was made by Sylvester Roper, who I think born in New Hampshire, but spent much of his time in Roxbury, Massachusetts. This is a bike that dates to 1896, and as the sign says, Roper died while riding it around a bicycle track in Cambridge. He didn't crash, he actually had a heart attack and dropped over dead. My father owned his first motorcycle, which was made in 1868. And that's now in the Smithsonian collection. And Roper made his first automobile in around 1863 during the Civil War. And the Henry Ford Museum has one of his steam automobiles. I think he only made two of the motorcycles. I'm also here with a 1905 Marsh. It's one of several cars that were made in Brockton, Massachusetts. And Marsh also made motorcycles. Often people are confused whether Indian or Harley or who made the first motorcycles, but Marsh actually began making commercial quantities of motorcycles in Brockton in 1899. They later partnered with Charles Metz out of Waltham, who was also making motorcycles, and they got together and made what became the Marsh Metz motorcycle, which stayed in production up until about World War I. And Metz was famous, obviously, for the Metz car, one of several cars made in the city of Waltham. I think Charles Metz would sell you a car, I think, in 6 or 7 installments. He would send it to you in pieces, and you could put it together. And of course, lots of people worked in factories or farms and were used to fixing stuff, and so it was called the Metz plan car. And he also made an airplane powered by one of his motors. And there's I don't have a direct connection to Framingham, although I did a lot of work with Avery years ago, and bought a lot of products from them when they were located, I think, here in Framingham at one time.
Do you go to a lot of shows?
Yes. My father had probably 200 antique cars over his lifetime. He had 36 Stanley steamers throughout his collection, and I have 2 now remaining. And he also had an interest in bicycles. We had the Orient bikes were made in Waltham, and we used to, as kids, Orient built a bicycle that 10 people could ride, and then they built one that 7 people could ride, and they had a 3-seater and of course tandems, and we owned a 7-seated Orient, and we're 6 kids, so my father and the 6 kids would ride in what was the Grover Cronin. They were a retail store right in the center of Waltham, and when we were kids, we would either take our ponies or we'd take the bicycles and ride in the Grover Cronin parade. So, I'm a past president of the Stanley Museum up in Maine. So, I just had a show 2 or 3 weeks ago where we took the Marsh. The other vehicle is the green one with two-cylinder air-cooled vehicle down there. And
Anything else you want to share with us?
oh no, it's wonderful, and we're happy to be here and happy to celebrate. You know, this is where it all began, really. You know, you're not going to get further back than 1863 in terms of automobile history. You know, and Framingham had what, the Ford plant and GM. Yeah. So quite an amazing history. Yeah.
All right, so my name is Charlie McMahon. I'm originally from Natick. I worked at the Framingham General Motors plant from 1976 until it closed. Then I transferred to another General Motors plant in Spring Hill, Tennessee. And I'm part of the UAW, United Auto Workers retiree chapter that worked at the old Framingham plant, and we're here helping out with this car show and talking about the Framingham plant and building cars in Massachusetts. There are cars from Framingham that were built in Framingham. They're throughout the place. In fact, I think one is that GTO that's around the corner. My family is originally from New Jersey. My father transferred from the Linden, New Jersey General Motors plant to the Framingham General Motors plant when it was opening because he helped set it up. And I was the only one in the family that was born here in Massachusetts. And like I say, we lived in Natick. And my father and my brother and myself all worked at the Framingham plant.
$2.7 billion community bank headquarters.
I'm sorry, what?
With branches in Westboro. They're everywhere. Westboro.
This is the first one. This is amazing. This was it's awesome. A lot of these cars were made in Massachusetts. And evidently, Massachusetts, in the birth of the auto industry, was like the Detroit of that era, because there were lots of car factories here in this state, and so a lot of the cars that were manufactured in Massachusetts are scattered throughout the field here. I'm sorry? I do not. I actually lived up in New Hampshire. When I retired from General Motors down in Tennessee, we moved back up and I got a job working in Concord, New Hampshire.
I don't see Joe. Oh, sorry. That might be Chuck
Design.net. One more word for the food trucks, which are doing a great business. It's getting busy because it gets close to lunchtime. Lines are bad over there for food trucks. Everything from coffee to ice cream to barbecue.
I don't know what he looked like at that age.
That's how food trucks are doing this today. Thank you for being here as well.
I think it's a 63, Des. I remember someone saying that picture was taken in 1963.
Yeah, but it could have been taken at 63, but it was a 64.
Right, could be.
Yeah, 64 Pelt. Yeah, our relatives worked in the plant.
I worked there.
I told him, Joe poured these cement floors. He finished the cement floor.
Oh, really?
And put in an application and was hired. He would have.
We're gonna wrap it up.
Okay.
I got it. He had like top 2 yards.
What made manufacturing at General Motors different and other places?
Well, what did they manufacture there? At the one in Framingham, I worked on GTOs. I worked on Pontiac Le Manses. I worked on Oldsmobile Cutlasses, Chevrolets. 94? Nope, that was beyond us. They actually closed the Framingham plant in '89. So, and then I worked in Spring Hill, Tennessee, building the Saturn car.
walk us through? Can you walk us through briefly what a day in the life is like when you're working at General Motors?
When you're working at the plant?
Yeah.
Well, depending on the shift you work on, depends on when you start. The morning shift started at 6 a.m. Everybody was supposed to be on the line at their job ready to go at 6 a.m. because at 6 a.m. they threw the switch and the line started moving. And they would get really upset if you weren't there to put your parts on and the car went down without them. They got a little upset about that. So everybody was on time, had to be on time. You would work and you had two 23-minute breaks, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, paid, and then you had a half-hour unpaid lunch. So if you started at 6, your shift ended at 2:30, so that was 8 hours of pay plus a half hour of unpaid lunch.
What memories stand out to you the most about not doing it?
The friendships I had with my coworkers was beyond the best memories I have. I mean, we had so much fun working in there, laughing, because you're with the people that you worked across the line from more than you're with your family, because 8 hours a day you're staring at the same people. And if you get along, and we used to laugh, we knew everybody's business because everybody told you, and it was just a lot of fun, a lot of good camaraderie. The union was very into solidarity and everybody getting together and helping each other out, and yeah, that's real. That was the biggest takeaway for me, the working with the people. And we all used to really like the cars, you know. I mean, when we would build a new model, everybody wanted to see how they looked, all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, the friendships that you made were without a doubt the biggest thing.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I think this car show was an awesome thing to come up with, and I'm really glad the city did it, and I think we're glad to be part of it.